Hello and welcome to another Frame by Frame. I'm Phil Spencer.
And I'm Kirsty Alsop.
Actually, we're not, but we're posing as property evaluators in Amityville, New York.
Yes, what we thought we'd do something for the community. We're going to try and find another house in Amityville that's haunted to try and take the heat off
the Amityville house.
The Amityville house. 112 Ocean Avenue.
Straight away, so if it doesn't really matter if we say it on a podcast or not.
No.
Because it's, straight away it's even in its own featured feedback box on Google.
You talking to me?
Did you have a brain tumor for breakfast?
Then who the hell else are you talking to? Talking to me?
I'm funny how? I mean, funny like I'm a clown.
I'm Peter Venkman. We all go a little mad sometimes.
Man that doesn't spend time with his family will never be a real man.
Yeah.
Kind of a big deal.
First rule of Fight Club is do not talk about Fight Club.
Yeah, baby.
You want answers?
I think I'm entitled.
You want answers?
I want the truth!
You can't handle the truth!
If you were that bothered about Pestered, you'd make sure that was removed, wouldn't you?
Well, they did change the address. They tried to change the address when the first tenants after the Defoes moved. Oh, not the Lutz. When they moved out, they did change the address of it, so it was kind of a private location that only post offices knew about.
Right.
And pizza delivery guys. So yeah, but that obviously didn't deter people from knowing exactly where it was. And I think to be honest, it probably goes in waves. So we're here in Amityville, New York.
Yeah.
And we're kind of gonna be joining up with this tech group of savvy ghost hunters who know the area, and they've given us a few pointers of where to look. But really, we were really here to kind of talk about the film Amityville Horror and to talk about ghost films.
Because what's interesting, you say Amityville now is not a town.
No. It's
a house. Much like Vietnam, it's not a country, it's a war.
Interesting, yeah.
You know what I mean? So we need to... I suppose 112 Ocean Avenue is not a snappy title.
No.
The 112 Ocean Avenue Horror is not as snappy as the Amityville Horror.
But that's the one thing that I thought about was that the actual title of the film is the Amityville Horror.
It's the kind of house they don't build anymore. A relic of a time when the world wasn't in such a hurry, when there was still time for a little charm and elegance. It has stood empty for a long while, and at the price, it is a bargain. For a growing young family, it is almost too good to be true.
What do you think?
I love it.
James Brolin, Margot Kidder, Rod Steiger in the Amityville Horror.
God's peace in this house.
Get out!
Hello?
Hello, Kathy? Father Delaney, there's something very important.
Mommy, I want to go home.
What do you want from us?
What's all going wrong? We have to do something.
I'm coming apart! Oh, Mother of God, I'm coming apart!
28 days after the Lutz family moved into their dream house, they were running for their lives. What happened to them is an experience in terror you will never forget, and you will believe in the Amityville Horror. From the best-selling book that made millions believe in the unbelievable, the Amityville Horror.
Yeah.
Like a haunting in Connecticut, it has quite a big ground to cover.
Yeah, Connecticut is quite a large
Massive
place.
But if you put it down to Amityville, then you're literally saying that there is this house and it's at the centre of Amityville and this is where it's going to happen. I don't think the location was for Poltergeist. There was no specific location for that house.
No.
Or that Indian burial ground. Other films, The Exorcist, and we know it's Washington DC, but there's no specific address in the title or anywhere in the film where people can actually just go and find it. And obviously, it's going to be on some sort of a map when you get there because it's an attraction.
Yeah. But another thing, I like that you mentioned The Exorcist, because one of the main things I like about The Exorcist, it's in the middle of a city where all this is happening.
Yeah,
she has neighbours next door, but no one can help.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
this incredibly bizarre paranormal event is happening in the middle of a bustling city, and I suppose with the Amityville Horror,
yeah,
it's not like a huge town. It's a small town,
small sea town.
Yeah,
it's a very a different town. It's a seasonal town.
Yeah,
I'd say that it'll be like dead as a dodo in winter, and I don't know when the actual events took place. If it was a seasonal thing,
there's a lot of rain in the film.
Yeah. A lot of rain. Yeah.
So what? All right. Specifically, then the film.
Yep.
What do you think? What do you make of it?
Let's
talk about the film and then talk about the actual story.
Yeah, I like. There's a switch on there. That's just a motion sensor. We're in the house at the moment, and we're kind of.
Is this not a ghost detector though? Did I not just pick up a spectre that walked past?
Don't worry about it. We're not.
That's what we're supposed to be looking for ghosts at this house in Amityville that's fine. Not 112 Ocean Avenue.
It's okay. We're good at this shit. We'll be fine. We'll catch them later. It's not as if it's an isolated incident.
Yeah, trying to find ghosts and then we get actual evidence and you ignore it.
There's no such thing as evidence. It's only data.
You should work on Most Haunted. You should.
But yeah. The film. I enjoyed the film.
Yeah, absolutely.
I liked. Is it James Brolin and Margot Kidder?
Yeah.
Who every time I look at her and I hear her voice, I always think, yeah, that's Lois Lane.
Yeah.
She hasn't been in a lot of movies where
she went nuts, didn't she?
I think she had maybe a nervous breakdown. I'm not sure, but maybe it's kind of like the Carrie Fisher thing, maybe where substance abuse. I have no idea. I'm just guessing.
I seem to remember reading that she turned up at someone's house in underwear or something, and she was very. I think she had a nervous breakdown. And again, what always happens is people say, "Oh, it's because she did that."
Because of the Amityville Horror, yeah.
Like the little kid had a poltergeist. She died, and they say, "Well, it's because of..."
Nothing to do with a rare genetic disorder, no.
No.
No. Of course, then you got Twilight Zone. Vic, whatever his name is, gets massacred with a helicopter in a stunt. Actually dies on the set. Of course, it's cursed.
The Omen.
The Omen was massive.
About this.
The Omen was actually massive when it comes to curses. That have you seen that documentary about The Omen?
I've not. Well, I've got the Omen DVD, and there was a piece about it.
About the car accident that happened at
and they were exactly 666 kilometres away, wasn't it?
From the house. I mean,
it's a huge coincidence.
It is.
But coincidences happen all the time.
But then, if you measured all the different things on that day, maybe the temperature was 6.66. You know, maybe the speed that they were going was clocked in at 66.6 miles per hour.
Yeah.
Maybe they'd left the house 66.6 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Or they were. There's so many things you can find that could instantly be.
I'd done a gig and I was driving home and I'd just got home and my mileometer went to 666 miles.
Yeah.
So I went around the block. Years later, I was watching QI and Stephen Fry said, "Well, what's the number of the beast?" And everyone was like, "Oh, 666." And he said, "Well, no, it's not." They found an older transcription and it turns out the number of the beast was 616, not 666.
Yeah.
So it's been wrong all these years anyway, so it doesn't matter.
It's a fixation on a number, and what are numbers? It's a concept that we kind of devised ourselves.
Yeah.
Numbers. I mean, not that we can't say that we invented numbers. You know, quantities are a thing that can only be manifested if there's a. I mean, do cats count how many biscuits are in their bowl? I doubt it. Do they count how many enemy cats are in their garden? I doubt it.
No.
You know, they just say, "Oh, lots going on out there. I'm not going to count. I'm just going to fuck off really quickly." So yeah, I mean, it's something it's a concept that we devised. It's a man-made thing. It's like any superstition, obviously superstition does affect people very strongly.
It does, and with going back to the Amityville, time is a big aspect of it. The 3:15 in the morning, where he wakes up every morning.
3:15 in the morning, yeah.
Yeah, which is the time
Witching
where...
hour.
Well, that's allegedly the time where Ronnie DeFeo shot Ellie's family. And that's the time where George Lutz, is it George?
Yeah.
He wakes up
and
at 3:15 in the morning.
To be honest, Lutz sounds like, I know we haven't talked much about the film yet, but George Lutz sounds like a guy who, when he moved into that house, he knew exactly what had gone on. I think it's rubbish that he hadn't been told.
Yeah.
I think he was obviously well researched. He's able to write books, for heaven's sakes.
Well, they even say in the film where she's like, "Oh, I'm not sure about moving into this house," and he says, "Well, come on, walls don't have memories. We're getting this house for such a bargain price. Let's move."
Yeah,
on.
Exactly. And I think he's purely just cashing in. That Lutz guy is just purely cashing in on an idea to sell books. I don't believe his story.
Well, apparently though, 3:15 in the morning is an antichrist time, because allegedly Christ was crucified at 3:15 in the afternoon.
Right.
So Satanists use 3:15 in the morning as like the anti-time against Christ.
Antichrist. Ah, right.
So.
Wow, they got that down to the minutes, even though they can't agree as to what Jesus looked like and whether dinosaurs are in the Bible. But yet they know it was 3:15 in the afternoon. Wow. What was his last supper?
His last supper?
What did he have?
He had fish and chips.
That sounds good enough to me. I believe that.
Yeah.
I'll take that to my grave.
Well, when it turned up, it was
Cremation.
just bread and water, but he turned it into fish and chips
and vinegar.
Yeah,
that's where the wine was. Yeah.
The Last Supper painting is shit.
Oh my god. Yeah, that's quite a statement.
You wouldn't eat like that. You'd be around and everyone would be having a laugh. You wouldn't be like that.
Yeah, that to be honest,
everyone doing, and then everyone's sitting around and Christ is doing the arms thing. You think what you do with your arms? Well, I want to put my arms out. Well, I'll put my arms out. You can't put your arms out.
That's a top table for a wedding. He was at a wedding.
That's what it was. He was at a wedding.
Yeah.
Sorry, doing a lot of moving here.
Don't worry, it's a very squeaky chair and a very squeaky house in the middle of Amityville, New York.
Yeah. Kimmel, he did this great thing. He was asking stoners like questions that they just didn't know the answers to.
Yeah.
And he went up to him and says, "Name 4 Renaissance painters." He's like, "No man, I don't know anything about that." He goes, "Name me 4 Teenage Ninja Turtles: Leonardo, Raphael, Michelangelo, Donatello." Genius, so good. Oh, I loved it.
That is hilarious.
It's really good, man. Brilliant.
Clever.
Yeah.
That's smart. I like that.
So, the film.
Yeah. So, there is no...
I'm a bit jet lagged because of getting to Amityville, so I'm a little wired.
Of course, yeah, no. It's the Japanese crackers that they serve on those KML flights.
Yeah, what do you think about this? We're getting abducted.
Yeah, the week before.
I had 2 weeks before. I had no... Because we're putting the stand-up one and then the week after.
Oh, I thought we were kind of storing those for winter.
For when we're cold.
For when we're cold and when we actually have the guts to actually do the stand-up at the end. Anyway, yeah, sorry, yeah?
Yeah, well, I wasn't jet-lagged at all.
No.
But going to America, I am. It's weird, isn't it? Anyway, I don't know what they did to us.
Oh, yeah, tiramisu. Yeah, right, focus.
Focus, yeah.
The film. There's I actually put out feelers to Alexandra Holzer, because Hans Holzer was the her father.
Yeah, he was the author of
the book about the Defoes, and the book that the second film was based on.
Yeah, The Possession.
And I saw that as well. Yeah, I don't know if Hans Holzer would have been quite so proud of that film, but
yeah, that's an interesting point. Because I'd watched the Amityville when I was probably about 13, and it scared the bejesus out of me.
Yeah.
And then when I watched The Possession, it scared me even more.
Yeah.
Because as a kid, I had the actual concept of being possessed by something
to make you
is terrifying
then
to me.
Kill your family.
I don't even go that far ahead. Maybe I'm just selfish, but I mean, just the idea of being taken over by another entity.
So being forced to eat a custard cream is just enough, you know.
Yeah.
By
awful.
Eat the custard cream.
Yeah. Drink that tea.
Oh,
it's
I
too
don't
hot.
like tea. Murder your family. Okay. Well, it's a horrifying thing, but
yeah,
and it's no joke.
But I recently went back to Amityville: The Possession.
Yeah,
and it's a very bad film.
It's not like the first one. I mean, the first one had a lot of weight to it because of the performances were good.
Yeah, very good.
The children were very good in it as well.
Yeah,
I found that, you find that children are hit and miss in films. The majority of the time, however, the casting of children in horror films is amazing.
Yeah,
and they seem to, they seem to know how to find the right children to be in these films, and they freak you out more than the adults.
And because it's been done to death now, but the little girl who has this imaginary friend that the audience know that friend's not imaginary.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
And and you're just talking to him, saying, I love that part where she's like, I can't remember what she calls imaginary friend, but she doesn't like that imaginary friend doesn't like George.
It was Jodie. The real film was Jodie, but in the new film, because in the second film they don't call them the Defoes, they call them Marcellas.
Yeah.
So I can't remember the names because it's all changed around to protect the people. I guess they just didn't have the rights to the name. But but yeah, it is freaky.
And the film, it builds perfectly.
The first film, yes.
Yeah, it really does. It's they really put time and effort into making a genuinely creepy film.
And that's the thing about when you look at Dark Skies, you can as we reviewed earlier. I mean, they had the thing. They tried to do the same thing, building it up, but instead of bees, they had birds. Instead of they have the same concept as Poltergeist with all the furniture. Even though that seems to be a very odd thing for an extraterrestrial to do. So they're kind of stealing from the horror, the ghost genre, which is the Poltergeist genre, which didn't make sense. I think they just wanted to put all the things that they liked about, Birdemic, of course, is a definite inspiration for. I mean, the birds is a definite inspiration for the bird scene, and
of course, but absolutely, you've made a really good point there, because Dark Skies is Amityville, but with extraterrestrials. Ghosts, it is.
Yeah. So it's a very you can tell that films that don't have the originality anymore. And this back in 1977. I mean, obviously they've had The Exorcist already. 79 this film. They've had The Exorcist already. They've had Rosemary's Baby.
Yeah.
They've started to get into all these B-movie horror films that would have been kind of filtering through from all those different films. Of course, The Innocent was out long before then. That kind of, I think, was the start of all the creepy kid horror. Yeah. But really, nowadays, it's so oversaturated, so overblown, and everybody who's anybody who has a camera, the first thing they think about is, let's make a horror film. And unfortunately, that's why I find it very hard these days to kind of latch onto anything that's believable. Luckily, there's always the exception, and we do have one in our midst when we talk about Borderlands.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
But Amityville. Well, there's a lot. So tell me, Andy. I think we've discussed the film. Tell me a little bit about Amityville, the place, because it's a beautiful place.
It is. I think that's
weather.
kind of why it might have been such a huge deal, because it seems to be one of those places where everybody knows each other.
Yeah.
So a new family moving into Amityville, everyone would know, oh, there's a new family moving in.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, and like you said, it's a seafaring town. I would imagine a lot of its money comes from tourism.
Yes.
That kind of thing.
But I was, yeah, I mean that's what Alexandra Holzer said about, because I listened to one of her conversations with Mike Roberts.
Just to say, sorry, in a 2010 consensus, there's a population of 9,522. That's not a lot of people at all.
No, but it's very spread out.
Yeah.
And there's lots of water canals and well, not canals, but you know, water geographically.
Rivers.
I mean, it's a small town, and Alexandra Holzer said in a conversation with Mike Roberts that people are sick and tired of the Amityville horror house being the only thing of interest.
Yeah.
But there is, you know, it has a history. It does have a very, very deep history, and it is a very, very old town. You know, it was founded when?
The 1600s is when settlers first came to it.
But it wasn't originally called Amityville.
No, it wasn't. It was called
Huntington West Neck South, which doesn't sound as catchy. I mean, if the film had come out and was called the Huntington West Neck South horror. then it probably wouldn't have been a...
But then, that sounds like a town. Amityville sounds like a house, I guess.
It sounds like a community.
Yeah.
It sounds like Pleasantville, you know. Or anything with Ville makes you think of picket fences and a nice place. Amity is the reason why it was called Amity, because they were having a conversation about what to call it. Was that the whole reason, or did somebody say we could do with a little bit of amity because there was a lot of amity means cooperation. I think it's a bit of,
maybe they watched Jaws.
Maybe that was it. Yeah. But
the year before, no, that wouldn't have worked.
But Amityville is a tourist destination.
Yeah.
But it has been ever since the 1900s, even before the Amityville Horror, which makes me curious why it was chosen. I mean, the Defoes, of course. That was the reason why it was chosen, because Defoe is good. I mean, there are murders in houses all across America that must have been, you know, where someone goes nuts and murders their family. I mean, it happens. Probably more frequently now than it did before, because everybody's got it in their mindset because of media and mass media culture and but apparently in the 1900s it was a very popular tourist destination because it has very large hotels and large homes. So the rich and famous used to flock there. Annie Oakley was a popular guest at Amityville.
Right.
Yeah. So
and a Baldwin was born there, wasn't it?
Alec Baldwin was born in Amityville. Al Capone had a house there.
Well, that's the place to move to then, isn't it?
Will Rogers also lived there. He had a house there too.
Right.
So I mean, it's you know, but you can call out any town or city in America, and somebody famous would have been there sometime.
But you can see why it became such a big thing.
By the 1970s, it changed.
Yeah.
Because of the book. The book and the film obviously changed everything, you know, and apparently the neighbours are sick and tired of people coming over and taking bits of the house. Apparently they steal a piece of the house just to take it home with them, or drunks would often be found lying in the field shouting obscenities at the house.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
But apparently after about 1987, you know, about a decade later, it calmed down a bit. But apparently neighbours are quite hostile when people come and say, "Oh, I want to come and have a look at the house."
But I suppose you're going to move into a house that's so notorious.
Yeah.
You're going to have to accept that.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that people move into a house get it at a reduced price because it comes with that.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying, you know, it's right. I'm just saying to... You know what I'm saying?
I know exactly what you're saying. It's basically, if you're going to be, if you're going to be there looking for a house that's in Amityville and you choose that house, you've got to expect it. You've got to expect it.
Imagine living in that house. If you've got a time, any specific time where you're the only person, like your family's out and you're the only person in that house, whether you believe in the paranormal or not, you're going to be freaked out. It's a huge house.
It
You're on
is.
your own in that house. You know what's happened. You must have read the book.
Yeah.
Imagine reading the book in the house.
Do you know what? I actually read The Shining in a hotel.
Silly man.
I was a night porter in a hotel, and I was walking corridors and checking. You know, it was and I thought, I'm going to go read
Come
The
play
Shining.
with us, Stephen.
It was great.
Come play with us forever.
I like to do things that kind of. It's like watching 13 Days whilst flying over Russia in a plane. That was, I like to kind of experiment with that.
I read Jaws whilst being eaten by a shark.
Wow. Rule of 3, man. Rule of 3.
Yeah.
The first is okay, the second is okay, the third is always absurd. Yeah. So really, I mean, there's not a lot to really say about Amityville. I mean, it's a good film.
I think it's a good film. It's generally it's creepy. I mentioned the soundtrack that like a child. There's always something freaky about kids singing.
It is, and Poltergeist took that as well.
Yeah.
But the thing is, the innocence. Well, again, I think that film set that up.
Yeah.
Because that melody in that film, God, that was sung so beautifully and so creepily.
Yeah.
But
right, let's talk about the real Amityville then. Do you believe that they experienced paranormal events, or do you think it was completely made up to make money out of a book?
Yeah, I want to think that it was completely made up, because there were already rumours before the Lutzes moved in to say that there was possession. Because the thing is, if you I don't know, it's in the Bible Belt, right? I would say that they would be religious.
Yeah.
So anybody who shoots their family.
In fact, the film sort of goes.
Yeah.
They obviously invite a priest to the house, don't they? That famous scene.
Yeah.
We go when he's trying to bless the house and all the flies come on him, and then that voice. Get out.
Get out.
Get out. Oh, yeah. That's a creepy scene.
It is creepy. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's it. I think that as soon if you actually took religion away from it, then nobody would actually make the connection with possession. The idea that people cannot fathom the notion that somebody would kill their own family. I mean, that is an unfathomable thing to think about. Something else must have controlled him, because they don't want to think that could happen to anybody.
Well, he still says, is he still alive, Lutz?
Yeah.
Yeah. But he's just said that voice in his head told him to do it. Schizophrenia, perhaps.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But what I find interesting about the night he murdered them, he went while they were sleeping and shot them while they were sleeping. And
yeah.
No matter how big a house is, you're going to get waken up by a gunshot.
One gunshot, somebody would have heard it.
But everyone stayed asleep.
Yeah.
They were all shot in the bed.
Unless he shoots his gun a lot at night.
Yeah,
and
maybe.
They kind of thought.
They woke up and God, he's shooting me again. What a silly.
Yeah.
Let's go back to sleep.
Maybe he was just maybe there is a lot of I don't know.
I just find that interesting.
Yeah, that there might have been some sort of a sedative involved, maybe.
Perhaps.
Have
you ever heard anyone question that?
I don't think so. But it's very interesting, because I can't imagine not waking up after hearing a gunfight.
Yeah,
a gunshot. Because that I wake up to the sound of a cat walking across a piano, and
Yeah. You would.
I did. I do.
Absolutely. You know what I mean?
So that's a very interesting point that you've actually pulled out there, because if it seemed to be such a premeditated thing, then it sounds like that there could. I mean, did they do a drug toxicology examination of all the victims? Was there some sort of a chemical involved?
Yeah, exactly.
Or was it simply, I don't know. I mean, how do you sleep through a gunshot?
I don't know.
Yeah.
But and then the reports of the DeFeo.
Ronald
DeFeo, that's it.
Yeah.
Have you read the book?
I haven't read the book.
Yeah,
I suck at reading books. I know somebody who would have read the book.
It's okay, but there's reports of him waking up and his wife is literally levitating.
Right.
And you had to like pull her back down. It looks her face, and her face was all distorted and stuff, and things like that were happening, allegedly.
To the DeFeos. And
To
that's
the DeFeos, yeah.
Facial distortion is kind of like, you know, it's a it could be a manifestation of his own mind.
Of course.
Because he seems to be the only person in that house who was going crazy at the time.
Yeah.
If there was something else going on, wouldn't other people feel it? Wouldn't they be experiencing things?
Well, everyone were apparently experiencing something.
Yeah.
The
Look at them, they look like a happy family.
Well, they were happy until they moved into that house.
Yeah.
So what was it? Because they only lived there for, what was it, about a week? They managed? And then they had to move out?
The Lutzes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's a hell of a price tag to buy a house.
And then leave.
So, did something happen, or was it just...
Did he think, well, let's do this, there's an opportunity. I mean, I can't imagine that you can't move into that house without having some sort of a sense of wow, this is amazing. But then to be the kind of person who does do interviews, it's like Travis Walton. He's very affable, very present. He's very okay with the media. He's very out there. Conventions. He's always signing things. You know, he signs things from the film Fire in the Sky and his book as well.
Yeah.
And the same with the Lutz. You know, they seem to find fame and fortune very comforting.
Yeah.
And very natural. It's not as if they're timid or shy or don't want anything to do with it. For my money, I would have believed them if they just didn't want to be spoken up to, or didn't have a book, wanted everything to just go away and wanted to be left alone. That to me smells like somebody who actually has experienced something in fear and actually isn't trying to make anything from it. Unless they're just thinking, well, you know, this happened to me. I've had a really bad time at this.
I deserve to make some money
out of it. So
I don't think there's anything particularly wrong with that.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with it, but
and then you got the demonologist who worked on the case.
Yeah,
who was she was famous. Forgot her
name.
Warren.
Lorraine Warren.
That's it. Yeah.
Who keeps coming back to the house and using the house as a part of it.
She won't go into the house though.
Oh,
she's been into that house, and she says the stuff that she experienced in that house, and how she felt she would never go in that house ever again.
Okay.
Now whether she
did Ed go in there? Ed Warren.
I would imagine so. Yeah.
But she didn't.
Because they all went to. No, she went into the house, but then would never go back in ever again.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
It's so difficult to know. Yeah.
Like I always say, you've got what they say here, what the naysayers say over there. Somewhere in the middle is the truth. And whether the paranoia, we thought we'll buy this house and it's so cheap for what it is. Still expensive, but for what the house is, we'll buy it.
It might be just what they wanted, right?
Yeah,
by the
but
water.
then the actual paranoia that someone was shot in the creeks starts to take over. Financial problems start to make him paranoid. He starts to become this irritable,
wired.
Yeah, he hits the kids that he's never hit. You know, he's never been like that before. Yeah. But in the film, I love the scene where the walls are bleeding. It's always good in a film. Walls bleeding, and the doors are all smashing, and he's like, and I've always any film that's centered around a dog, you've got me. And because they get off and they have to go back for the dog, and you're like, no, don't go back in the house, but he goes back to save the dog.
Well, it's like Ripley going back to save the cat.
Yeah, love it. Yeah,
I love that because it seems to be forget about the cat, forget about the dog, but no, because it shows that they've actually got a heart beyond human need, that their heart is bigger than that even pets are important to them, and I think it's always a strong motivator. I never question that. Yeah, I'd go back for the cats.
Yeah, and it's where he goes down the stairs, doesn't he? And he goes through the stairs into that big sort of vial of blood, doesn't he? And he's trying to get out of it. It looks like the dog's attacking him, but the dog's actually trying to help him out. And he gets the dog.
What? I actually thought the dog was possessed.
Oh, did you?
I thought there was kind of like that ambiguity at least.
Well, I'd say so, because I always thought the dog was trying to protect, because the dog was always trying to get into the cellar all the time, up to the point where scratching and making his paws bleed, wasn't it? He was always trying to get into the cellar, and you remind me now the scene where they actually smash down the wall and make it down there when the friends have come over to visit. and her friend gets possessed.
What's going on? You all gone mad? George! Come and go through here.
Find a well. Is the passage to hell?
She's like quite psychic, and she feels presence.
Yeah. I remember the intuition.
Yeah, and she gets slightly possessed, and yeah.
So Andy,
yes.
before we go off the subject, we need to give Amityville a little bit of a campaign, shall
Yes.
we? Okay. So we have
Different reasons to come to Amityville.
different reasons to come down to Amityville. Yes.
Okay.
Reason number 1. Burger's Brother Camera is a long-established photo and video supply store for all your photographic needs. With friendly, knowledgeable staff who understand that photography doesn't begin and end with digital, they also provide everything from darkroom supplies to stargazing equipment. They also do an impressive job of photo restoration, handling everything from blow-ups to slides, with additional facilities for transferring your old videos to discs. Burgers Brothers is located on Main Street off Broadway, Amityville, and if you were in any doubt, let me tell you now, these guys know cameras. Hey Andy.
Hey!
Why does the word dinghy have a silent H?
I don't know.
Well, that H is for hooray for the dinghy shop! The Dinghy Shop is a family-run business renting and selling kayaks and sailboats, providing moonlight excursions and a family atmosphere with all dedicated service and expert guidance and advice. Andy, tell me about your experience at the Dinghy Shop.
I bought my first kayak, a Hurricane Aqua Sport Phoenix 140, there in 2005. And returned this past summer to buy another Sit on Top, a tandem perception tribe for my wife, and I too enjoyed together. We couldn't be happier with the level of service and as the value for money.
That's right, and as Andy very eloquently told us there, that the Dinghy Shop know their products and will go the extra mile to make your visit and purchasing choices that much more memorable. You can visit the Dinghy Shop at www.dinghyshop.com, or if you're in Amityville area, head down to 334 S Bayview Avenue, Amityville, New York 11701 for your sat-nav.
Well, yeah, I think one of the first real sort of, would you say, psychological horror?
Definitely is. I mean, it's a 1961 black and white film with Deborah Kerr, and apparently the headline of the poster was "You'll get the shock of your life." But back in 1961, that probably would have been quite a profound film.
It still stands up now. It's still,
yeah.
It's all
I
about.
felt creeped out watching it now.
Absolutely.
I thought
brilliant.
I thought I'm going to be able to watch this at night because it's black and white and it's old. It's not going to scare me. But it didn't so much scare me; it just kind of plays with you.
Oh yeah,
and it's the music that plays with you.
It's the stuff. It's the music, and it's the mastery of the stuff you don't see.
Yeah.
The thing that's lurking in the corner, you don't see it. Brilliant camera work.
Yeah.
Shadows. Oh, fantastic.
And I find that Jack Clayton is one of these unknown directors who really, really knew how to do modern film. I mean, if you're looking at 1961, it was all Showtimes and gangster pictures, and they were kind of just breaking out of the studio system slowly.
Yeah, and dialogue was always... There was like no breaks between dialogue.
Yes.
Did you get what I mean? So like...
Scene starts, scene ends.
Yeah, and be like, hey, little Johnny, why are you so late? I'm so late, Daddy, because I've just been in some sort of thing. Oh, yeah, that's right, little Johnny. Well, you should have told me you were going to be late. I told you I was going to be late, and there was no gap. There was no, like, normal speech wasn't like that. No. You know what I mean? You'd be like, right, little Johnny, why are you late? Oh, I'm sorry, Dad. That's the way a normal speech is, you know.
Hang on, I'm concentrating. You know,
yeah.
They'd have moments of just,
But the innocence is like...
Well, like Taxi Driver.
Yeah, the innocence is really well executed. It's real. You feel it's a real situation.
Exactly. And it has a lot of influence that I can imagine that this film... but it's not talked about as much... as say like Rosemary's Baby, which is kind of like being said to be the horror film that started off the whole, fear of the unknown horrors, the horrors at home kind of situation. But this really, this is it. This is so much more. I absolutely love this film. Yeah,
based on a book called The Turning of the Screw.
Really?
Very good book.
That's a popular book. I've heard of that. Yeah. Who wrote that? Henry James, damn it. Henry James.
Yeah, Henry James wrote it.
But yeah, I was surprised by it because I'm not only surprised by the way that the film made me feel, but surprised that I hadn't actually seen or heard about this film before. Nobody's in the history of talking about film has anybody said, "Oh, The Innocents, you should watch that. Have you seen it?" I
would never have known about this film if it weren't for my friend Matt.
Yeah.
Who I think it was when he was living in Cambridge. He just got this black. I was like, he wanted to put it on. I was like, oh, black and white film. I want to watch that. I want to watch a good horror film. Well, boy, was I wrong. Seriously creeped out watching it, thinking, wow,
It blows you away when you find films that nobody actually ever talks about. And you're like, oh, this is mine. I can actually use this. It's like the film Experiment in Terror. Nobody ever talks about that film.
Right.
I find that a very effective psychological thriller that makes But we'll hopefully be able to look at that.
Well, that's weird because I've never seen that, and you've never seen The Innocents till I recommended it to you. So there we go. We can pay it forward, pay it back.
Pay it forward. Yeah.
It's a film.
Yeah, for ones of a I'd rather just you show me yours and I'll show you mine.
Okay, let's piss and see which one goes furthest.
Let's play that.
But they really play on the kids' performance in it.
Yeah,
fantastic.
And we've already said that casting in horror films, when it comes to children, it's impeccable, and I don't see many films where they get that wrong. But this is basically the benchmark that says these kids can be creepy. It's not all chitty bang bang or Mary Poppins. These kids can be in a film like this, and they can be effective.
Yeah, and especially they really play on that pseudo-sexual thing. Very well. Like when a little boy kisses her in the mouth and stuff. And
but that's a very theatrical thing.
Well, I think a lot of that, the aspects of that, came from Truman Capote.
Yeah,
his input into the script. He wanted to really hone that in.
Yeah, it's the there is an actual expression for it. The Oedipus. It's the Oedipus
complex.
Complex, yes, that's it. Where it's the Hamlet who falls in love with his mother. And it's a very, because she's a mother figure. She's not necessarily the mother, but it's still that unusual. Because I was actually surprised by that. Because it's like, this is 1961. Damn it, they can't show that.
Yeah, I mean, it's seriously ahead of its time.
Ahead of its time, yeah. And the actor, the boy especially, he seemed like he was an adult. in a child's body.
A poem. What shall I sing to my Lord from my window? What shall I sing for my Lord will not stay? What shall I sing for my Lord will not listen? Where shall I go for my Lord is away? Whom shall I love when the moon is arisen? Gone is my Lord, and the grave is his prison. What shall I say when my Lord comes a-calling? What shall I say when he knocks on my door? What shall I say when his feet enter softly, leaving the marks of his grave on my floor? Enter, my Lord, come from your prison, come from your grave, for the moon is arisen.
Well, that's kind of the point of it, isn't it?
But amazing, yeah.
And I think that horror films work best when kids are involved and the adult is scared of the child.
Yeah.
All the way up to 2014 is the Babadook.
Yeah.
She's terrified of her own kid, and it's such a great dynamic to have within a film.
The layers that come from it.
Yeah.
You just don't know where to put yourself when you see that, because you don't know what you could do in that situation yourself. It just seems like an impossible situation to be able to deal with.
Yeah,
child.
She's being terrorised
By a child.
Yeah, by not only a child, but the night terrors, the creepy noises, the bangs on the door.
But I find it astonishing because a lot of films that have children in, when outside of the horror, you always kind of know where the writers don't understand how children speak or how they say things, because they seem to just come up with things that a child wouldn't say. Classic example of that, James Cameron's Aliens. This is when Newt kept on coming up with her amazing one-liners that a child would never say.
Yeah.
Such as...
there it goes.
Oh God! She said they come out mostly at night. Mostly.
I know. I get what you're saying, though.
Oh, you know what? I'm struggling because I know that there's more lines. She says some profound things in that film that obviously is coming out of a writer's mouth, not a child. And the beautiful thing about a child being possessed by an adult is that the writer doesn't have to worry about that.
Yeah.
Because it's all about the child actually being able to deliver the lines.
Yeah, I think like when you talk about sci-fi, you have to come from the perspective of what a kid would actually say, but in horror you don't.
No.
Because what is creepy is the kid is saying stuff that a kid should not be saying.
Exactly. That's my point.
Yeah.
That's my point. Thank you for recovering my...
You're welcome.
My sloppy Gillespie pizza pie of an expression. So, yeah. Truman Capote, writer. Budget was $430,000. That's astonishing.
It is, but what would $430,000 be now?
Well, a lot. Because
it wouldn't be.
You could buy a house for £50 back in those days. Come on, that's like 50 mortgages. It only made 1.2 million.
Well, it doubled its money back.
I kind of get the feeling that is quite a high budget film. Like I kind of feel like a lot of that money probably went to Truman Capote for writing.
He was only part of it. He wasn't the main
writer. No. He was additional dialogue, like you say. He handled the okay. But there's a lot of writers involved actually. 3 writers, sorry, a lot.
But would you say that this The Innocents paved way for this style of horror film?
The Omen, The Exorcist.
Oh, well, I don't say The Exorcist, but I mean the haunted house, the thing that you know's there but you don't see, and the creepiness, the way it builds.
The Haunting came about. The Haunting was that 1963? So yeah, definitely, The Haunting came off the back of that film.
Yeah,
and no children in that one, I don't think. I think they're just young adults. So, yeah, but that's the possessed house. They probably just felt inspired by the Innocents. Yeah, the idea of things being seen in the corner and then you flash back and there's nothing there.
Yeah, I love the lady in the lake.
The lady in the lake.
Yeah, you know, she looks and you can just see it in the distance. A really creepy imagery.
Yeah.
Such a great film.
So I think that certainly is a precursor to everything that kind of follows.
With horror film, there seems to be like a 20-year recycle.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? So you'll get like 20 years.
They don't do it immediately like they do with superhero films.
Yeah, like John Carpenter, like he would say that he's inspired by Hitchcock. But now, 20 years on, people saying Amber was inspired by John Carpenter. Do you get what I mean?
What you mean, yeah, the actual influences.
Yeah, the influences sort of like recycle themselves.
For horror.
For horror, yeah.
For horror and maybe sci-fi.
Yeah, maybe.
To a certain extent. But I think that's probably because people who are interested in horror as a genre for making film, it's the most, like I say, when you're a student, you get a camera, the first thing you want to do is to make a horror film. That's all of the student films that we had, apart from mine, because I wanted to do film noir and I was in love with the film Chinatown at the time. Everybody wanted to do Friday the 13th, Halloween, that kind of thing, slasher movies. And I think that it's one of those things that if first time you get a camera, you start to learn the craft. And I think that with the horror convention, it's harder to sell right off the bat. So I think because it's such an accessible thing as a young adult to get into, that they probably then kind of go into film school and then do the educational thing first before they come out at the other end and start to kind of get serious about it and realizing that the thing that they love the most is that horror thing that got them into it to begin with. I think it could just be a kind of a state of process, and yet you don't get kids growing up thinking, I'd very much like to make a Hallmark movie about two loving couple who have problems. You don't do that, so therefore there's a different pathway for people to get into that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes sense, but I kind of,
Yeah, well, yeah. You don't remember the directors of Hallmark films, do you? They're not the sort of people that like you go, oh, who made that? That was good.
Yeah, but he remade
Santa Fell in Love with Me.
Santa Fell in Love with Me too.
Yeah,
and the remake of Santa Fell in Love with Me with more obvious actors.
Yeah,
But that's kind of what I'm saying is that maybe it's just because that the horror genre is more transparent and obvious.
And it's one of those things where it appears the director is almost more important than the actors.
Yeah,
it's like John Carpenter's releasing a new horror film. I've got to see that.
Wes Craven's.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
But the actors generally tend to be starter-uppers, because horror is a starter-upper genre to go into serious stuff. Every actor, Johnny Depp was in Freddy the Krueger.
Yeah, Freddy the Krueger.
And Jamie Lee Curtis was in the Halloween.
Yeah, Halloween.
And Kurt Russell, of course. Fox and the Hound. I mean, horror is a kind of a thing that you kind of start off with.
It is, but again, Kurt Russell ended up being sort of his muse, Carpenter's muse, because he ended up using him for, obviously we've got, he was in Big Trouble in Little China with him, which is a completely different character than he is in The Thing.
Yeah, because Kurt Russell is kind of a person who doesn't want to go and doing the same thing every time anyway.
No.
I like that about him, that he actually try different things.
I think Kurt Russell's a real talented guy.
He's a character who, when I see him, I kind of think, oh man,
we're safe.
Yes, we're good.
Yeah,
we're okay. I'm on board.
Yeah, absolutely.
Look at me. I'm on board. I've got my tray table in an upright position. I'm going. Woo! So yeah. I'm happy with that. The idea that Innocence is definitely a groundbreaking film, and everybody should watch it as a part of their education for film noir, dark horror. I mean,
it stands up to this day. It's still very creepy. It's under your skin.
That kid is the girl, not so much the boy. The girl with the singing, yes, but the kid. If you look at that performance at the end when he is literally just possessed and he's manipulating her, saying all that, and that is a performance.
Yeah. He's fantastic.
You don't just get any kid to do that.
It's a perfect film.
It is. Love it. So,
watch that film. It is reet good.
It's reet good. So what else can we talk about while we're here in beautiful Amityville?
Yeah, ask this fellow here. He looks like an agreeable local bumpkin type.
Hi, can you tell us where the church is, Randy?
Yeah, like, you know, it's a big pointy building with a spire on top.
Please be quiet.
Now we're going to examine the altar. And here's the crucifix. Must cross-check crucifix against video footage.
Deacon, what we saw up there was not normal. Was not normal.
As I was walking down by the Royal Arsenal, early the morning, the warm was the day.
Please show yourself again.
It's called Borderlands.
Borderlands, yeah.
Which I think is an interesting film. It's based on a priest has basically said there's miracles happening in this church, and the Vatican send a team to research this alleged miracle.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a point of view, sort of POV style filmmaking, Blair Witch style filmmaking.
Yeah, found footage.
Yeah, found footage thing, which people would say is getting old, but I kind of enjoy it as a genre of filmmaking. When done right.
Yeah, when done right, and I think that's the thing. I think people lean to it because they think that it's a inferior form of filmmaking, that there isn't a lot of skill involved. But like you say, if done right, if you're able to watch a film like that and actually not be aware that the cameras are not quite how they're supposed to be, like they were in Apollo 18, like they were in the honeymoon film, not the honeymoon film, the wedding video. I don't know if you've seen that one.
No, I've not seen that.
Awful.
Is it
Rufus Hound? Was it Rufus something? Was in it? And
the comedian?
I don't think is he a comedian? Is it him, the comedian?
He always has like a moustache that comes down like that.
Kind of. I think it's him. Yeah.
He's a good comedian.
But the film's basically about a man who's his ex-wife is marrying, and he's the best man at the wedding, and he's going to video it, and it's basically about him ruining the wedding.
Right.
But
okay.
he's basically it's not a found footage because nobody died. But it's just he does a video throughout the whole thing. But then you kind of start to get a bit of an omnipotent camera angles that don't seem to make sense, and everything seems to be conveniently placed. And the thing is, the characters on the film have to be blissfully unaware that the cameras are there, otherwise they'll be constantly saying, "Just turn it off, turn it off."
Yeah.
But in Borderlands, they kind of got used to the cameras quite easily because it was a part of the investigation. It was a part of the process. And
the Vatican have said we want every little thing filmed to see if documents to see if anything happens. So there were these kind of head cameras, which then gets away from the angle that you would say in Cloverfield. Put down the damn camera.
Yeah,
you don't need it. Put it down because they don't have to because it's attached to the head.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a clever move.
It is a clever move, and I think that films like Cloverfield had the challenge to kind of try and figure out how to make it. I mean, every single step of the way. So how can we justify the camera being in this scene? Whereas this one, it's all set up specifically for that purpose.
Yeah,
and
I think the characters are real characters.
Yeah.
You've got the tech guy who is annoying and who's like pretty much every tech guy I've ever met in my life, and
full of it,
full of himself, blissfully unaware of how obnoxious he is.
Yeah.
And he's a real character. There's people out there like him, you know. And then you've got the actual weathered researcher.
Yeah,
Irish bloke, and
he was quite. It's quite a refreshing character actually to see somebody who was a little, he kind of balanced it.
Yeah,
he was the balance between the two characters and the more likable one between the two.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So yeah, I mean, I'm not afraid to say that I found the tech guy really annoying and I wanted to punch him.
It's kind of the point of the character, I think, though. He
exactly.
the amount of tech guys who are like that.
And do you know what I think it was? I think that he, as a character, realised that, I think he plays to the cameras. He plays to the cameras, so he wanted to be switched on all the time. He didn't want to be boring or subdued. He wanted to kind of constantly make jokes, bad ones too, which are very hard to write. Bad jokes. I think when you're a good writer, it's very hard to write bad jokes.
But this is another film that, like, when they go to the church is really creepy. And they deal with that well, I think.
Very isolated as well. There's nothing around it, but apart from animals. That's
and
it. And
kids with hoodies.
Kids with hoodies. Yeah, that was my favourite scene. I'm sorry, but my favourite scene was when he turned around, went back to that hoodie and clocked him one, because it kind of made me think, wow, everybody's wanted to do that.
Well, there's a scene in it where they're in the house and then they hear the sheep like crying, so they run out into the field and they find the sheep that's on fire. So he puts the sheep out and then he does a mercy killing, doesn't he? The Irish bloke. And the tech guy, I think that's when things start to get a bit real for the tech guy, because he can't believe he's just done that. So so later on they've come back from the church, they've had a few drinks, and as they're walking past all these hoodies, and all the hoodies go bah, bah, to provoke him, and he just walks over and lamps him. It's brilliant. It's a great scene. The
reaction from the kids as well was like, one of them just watched it thinking, I'm not going to get involved. Oh my god, that just happened. And it was great. It was a really good clock.
But what's good about introducing these hoodies, and obviously, the hoodie's doing something very extreme.
Yeah.
That when the Archbishop has said, "There's nothing going on here.
Yeah.
We're leaving tomorrow," and the Irish guy is convinced there's something going on, he goes back on his own. At that point, the vicar who was saying that there was miracles happening at this church has subsequently killed himself, hasn't he? He sort of jumps off the steeple.
Yeah.
So as he's walking in the dark back to the chapel, he keeps seeing the cloak of the vicar, and he's actually shouting out to him, because he's called Criggle, was it?
Oh, do you know what? When he said Crilly.
I kept thinking he was saying Father Crilly.
Crilly, exactly.
It's not Crilly, it's Criggle, but it must have been done on purpose.
I thought he was, because when he actually arrived in the town, he said to that town bumpkin, he said, "We're looking for Father Crilly." And I thought, Father Ted reference. Okay, you can give up now. You can stop doing that, tech guy. But then apparently it was something like that. Carilli, there we go.
But it was a great thing, because
what was his name?
Well, when he actually finds the Father Criggles, or whatever his name was.
Crilly, yeah. Why don't I just call him Father Crilly?
Yeah, all right, Father Crilly. When he finds it, he blames it on the kids. He thinks it's just the kids messing around, not some paranormal thing.
But that helps. I think that it helps us, because we want to have that division of is it happening, is it not happening, and what is happening is always the question, because we don't know. We know that it's more than just a possessed church.
Yes,
but we don't know what that is, and to kind of say straight away, spoilers. I mean, do we want to tell them, or should we kind of what we think?
I think spoilers.
Yeah, so if you haven't watched the film, watch it now.
Because what really is a serviceable horror film that plays on the paranormal activity style of filmmaking, where they've got locked off cameras, you see different cuts, like you see obviously the Christ being crucified thing falls down, you see things moving, you hear bangs, and it's all been done before. Yeah, it's all been done before, and actually the falling of the Christ figure marries up with the image of the falling priest off the tower as well. They happened pretty much in the same. They did, yeah, that's right. Yeah, so they did use kind of like the symbolism, coincidental. Yeah,
So, yeah.
but we sort of find out that this church has been built on a pagan. Was it a pagan temple?
Yes.
And a lot of it plays on the idea that paganism and Catholicism, Catholicism took a lot of ideas from paganism.
Yeah.
And I think it's not really discussed, but it's approached a little bit. It's subtly approached within the film.
Yeah.
But what is a serviceable film, and it's got some decent scares, nothing you haven't seen before. The ending is like nothing you have ever seen before.
Yeah, because it takes on it's a completely different beast, and I'm not saying that lightly.
Yeah.
Because because once they got down there, I kind of had to look at the corner of the screen because I thought they're gonna throw something at me any moment now, and I'm gonna be off guard, and I don't like being off guard. I like to be prepared for my scares.
Yeah,
but then I don't. So yeah,
there's parts in it.
Yeah,
because you're only seeing what they're seeing. They've got a torch, and it reminded me of the scene in Twin Peaks: Fire Walk with Me when they're going through the woodland, and all you're seeing is the torch going about, and you can just see. You're literally only seeing what they can see.
It's like playing a computer game.
Yeah.
To me, it's like, that fear when you're walking around a computer game and you don't know what's going to come out.
What happens, the researcher, the Irish researcher, he finds behind a bookcase a doorway. Yeah. And he's about to go down there where then he hears loads of noises and shouting coming from the stairway. And it basically scares the hell out of him. He runs back home. And behind, there's three of them. You got the tech guy, the researcher, and then this archbishop
who comes later on a plane.
Yeah, and he's obnoxious. Oh, the guy with the glasses on.
Oh, the first one.
Yeah, he's just a bishop.
I didn't like him at all.
He's an obnoxious.
And I felt that he was a very wooden character and a very wooden performance.
They could have played more on that, because there was a point, wasn't there, when he actually rings up the Vatican to say there's something literally happened here, and then you just see the bishop sat in the dark in the kitchen. Yeah. They could have worked more on him, but I think the filmmakers might have seen that he's not very good.
He's not a very good actor.
So we'll not use him much.
I didn't like. I saw that and I thought, well, he's kind of throwing me a little bit out of the film, but I don't care because But that's probably why they got rid of him. Maybe he was supposed to. Maybe they fired him. I don't know. It just didn't. It seemed as though that he left the film and the bigger guy came in with the big white hair.
Yeah. Because there was a strange scene where
you don't even see him go.
They couldn't wake him up. Look at his ear, and blood had come out of his ear. Yeah. And they said, "I'll just leave him." Just leave him. I mean, it doesn't reek of being bad filmmaking. It reeks of thinking, "Oh, we've introduced this guy, and I really don't like him, but I can't really cut him out of the film."
Exactly. It's like having a TV series and having a character that you can't do anything with, so you just basically write him out the story. Yeah. I think that they did that with this character. I feel as though they wrote him out and pulled somebody else in and said, "Well, I'll finish the part off that he did." Yeah. But we want him. He's better because he plays off the obnoxious ideas and unless the actor quit himself, and because you don't actually see him leave as well.
No, because at the end when they go back to the church with the archbishop, who's going to do a ceremony, isn't he, to sort of cleanse the church. He's there. The obnoxious bishop, he's there at the time. At the very end, he's there.
Oh, right, okay.
But I think, when he's giving, because you don't remember, he says, "Oh, it's not even a Christian. He's not even doing a Christian sermon. He's doing something else." And then obviously, whatever the demon is that dwells there, sort of there's a huge sort of smash, isn't there? And they all end up on the floor, and the archbishop goes down that corridor, and that makes the tech guy and the Irish sort of researcher have to go down there and find him. And that's why they end up in this underground sort of pagan temple.
That's what's bizarre is that at any moment they could have just said, "Okay, we'll just wait for him to come back." But then they felt. I mean, I can understand why the one that we like. What was his name? Dexter.
I think so.
Daryl. Denver.
Data analysing.
It's called The Final Prayer in America. Deacon.
Of course it was Deacon.
Yeah, Deacon.
That's why, because he's Scottish. He's not Irish. He's Scottish.
Deacon.
Of course, call him Deacon. Deacon Brody.
Deacon Brody. Deacon Blue. So yeah, Deacon goes down there, but the other guy Gray doesn't need to. But he ends up going down there as well, and even though he's the tech guy, I don't see why he went down there.
Okay, I'll tell you why you're going down there.
Yeah,
because some huge paranormal event has just happened.
Okay.
Are you going to stay in your own in that church, or are you going to go down and strengthen numbers, my friend?
Strengthen numbers.
They're going down there to get to the Archbishop and get out of there.
Maybe he thinks that it's that easy. That it's just going to be a room and that's it. But that's the amazing thing. It's like he's being pulled. It's almost as if he's being threaded in, and he's like, I don't want to be here, but I'm still going. Yeah. It's almost as if there's a pulling for him.
And they keep seeing the Archbishop, don't they? And it's like at the bottom of a corridor, so they have to squeeze down a corridor, and then he's not there, and they'll see him move again, and they're trying to run, saying, "Come back! What are you doing? What are you doing?"
Okay. Yeah. So let's get to it.
The end of the film, they end up going into this like tight enclosed.
It's almost like a small cave.
Yeah, it's like a small cave.
Kind of a rounded cave. It's kind of
and then what happens? They get to it, and it's closed off at the end, but it's like a hole that sort of breathes a little bit. And they're saying, "Oh, it's a dead end. We need to turn around." So they turn around and they like say, and then the tech guy's like, "Oh, this is closed in. We're closed." And then like acid starts dripping on them, which I'm thinking is like stomach acid that starts to devour them, starts to consume
burn
them.
Their skin. Yeah.
So they've literally gone into the belly of the beast. That what they've gone into is actually a demon.
There's
some sort of beast that basically eats them,
devours them, sacrifice, and the cycle of ritual is complete yet again.
Yes, and I have never in my life seen a film end like that.
Yes, we might have to watch The Wicker Man just to kind of see how because it's films about sacrifice could be quite an interesting one, because this one is very. I sat there and I thought, what is going on? And my brain couldn't quite get around it. I couldn't quite get around it. I thought, hang on, are they in some sort of a kiln?
Yeah.
And that they're being pumped in. I thought they were literally in an oven to begin with, and they were going to start bursting into flames and get cremated. But no. This, and then it kind of just dawned on me. They are inside.
They're inside a stomach of something. We don't know what.
And it's incredible.
It is. It just made what was.
It justified.
What made a decent, workable, found footage horror film into something that, my God, I would not. I'm not. What?
Now I'm guessing that the signal that they had wasn't actually recorded on the device. That the data was actually being sent live onto a recorder.
Yeah,
because
it doesn't matter.
Okay, all right.
I don't think you need to think too much about that. Because if you do that, you're going to drive yourself crazy.
Yeah. Okay. I don't care about the possible technical flaws, but because it sold the idea of it being wireless. They didn't have a.
Yeah.
I mean, imagine if they had a clunky camcorder. It probably would have been dropped nearby. We would have just seen a static image.
Yeah, keep thinking about that. They're in a church in the middle of nowhere. There doesn't seem to be any electricity working in the church, but somehow they can plug those lights in and have radios working. And
I do have a question, actually. The Blair Witch.
Yes.
How many days were they away for in the Blair Witch? Were they lost for?
It was like 5 days, is it? 4 or 5 days?
Right. Their batteries lasted.
Yes.
I'm surprised that for 5 days that they were constantly recording everything that happened to them. And their batteries. That's my only question about that one.
I'd like to do one on the Blair Witch.
Yeah, maybe
it's a really good film.
Definitely. But we'll kind of spread our horror things out in between things. I think it's a good way of doing it.
Yeah, I just like how
we love horror.
We love horror. We love film.
Sci-fi.
We love comedy.
Yeah, we love. Yeah, we probably. We should actually challenge ourselves and make ourselves do chick flicks just once. No.
That'll be a solo podcast.
I'll be on my own.
I'll be called Frame by.
Or just by frame.
Yeah, by frame. By Frost.
by frame. Okay, so yeah, I'm really impressed with Borderlands. You should definitely watch it. And,
yeah. Well, I know we just spoiled the ending for you, but really,
if you hadn't watched it already, then you're an idiot. I'll put it on the poster. Watch it, or you're an idiot.
Yeah, I've seen it twice now, and that ending is still. Even if you know what's going to happen, it still just takes you by surprise because you just can't believe they've thought of that. That you go because it's done so well. They do go through some tight caves, and it's almost Descent-like claustrophobia.
Yeah.
And then,
but done
they're
so
in the
well.
stomach of something.
I wonder how things would have happened if this film was not made for British audiences. I mean, Mark Kermode loved it.
He did.
He absolutely loved it, and he actually stood there. He wasn't able to actually describe it. Because he couldn't, it was this thing that you couldn't quite describe, and until now I actually haven't been able to describe it myself. But how it would have been made if Michael Bay made this movie?
Oh, God.
You knew it was coming. We've got to end on this. Come on.
Do I have to do one?
Yeah. Okay. Michael Bay.
Right. Okay.
Borderlands
by
Michael Bay.
We're on the border of Mexico and America.
So we're literalising the metaphor.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mark Wahlberg plays an FBI agent who's tasked with literally murdering the devil. The devil is hiding on the border of Mexico and America in this little cave.
Not even a church.
Not in a church, it's in a cave.
Religion is not good for Michael Bay.
No, Michael Bay doesn't like that. He doesn't want to offend his right-wing Christian.
Maybe it's a whorehouse. Strip joint.
Strip joint, perfect. The devil lives in the catacombs under a strip joint. Mark Wahlberg is the FBI agent that goes there to literally murder the devil in the strip joint. There's Tia Leone wearing nothing. And then Megan Fox is there wearing nothing
for no reason.
But you don't really see her face. The camera just stays on her bum constantly throughout. Will Smith and Martin Lawrence are the quirky characters that run the strip joint.
Great.
Who have got Mark Wahlberg to come in. The devil is being played by Will Smith's son, Jaden Smith.
Yes.
And they have a fight with the devil with dildos. And he ends up murdering the devil by literally putting a huge dildo up his bum that goes into all his internal organs, and he dies.
Okay, and he just bursts.
He just bursts into money and Pepsi cans. He literally combusts out, and it's just Coca-Cola cans and Pepsi cans and anything else he wants to whore himself out of.
That is amazing. That is actually quite a plausible Michael Bay film. There'll be fast cars as well. They have to when they get to I think when they drive into the strip joint.
Ferrari, yeah,
that'll be the
there'll be like a huge car chase for no reason whatsoever.
Yeah,
it'll just be like smashes, people die, but literally no reason for it.
Yeah,
because it's mayhem. And people die, and then he just arrives at the strip joint. There's literally no point.
No reason. That's just there. That's the first hour.
Do you know he's doing a film about the Afghan war?
Yeah, I heard this.
Because I put a post on Frame by Frame on Facebook about it. I despair. I'll have to watch it, but I can't see. You know, we talk
Michael Bay working with reality.
We talk about American Sniper, only really seeing one part. You're seeing the sort of the American point of view of it, not really going to the Iraq. Do you think Michael Bay will give both parts a equal measure?
I don't know how he's going to be able to film arses in a film like that.
Yeah, I mean, unless he gets right under the burqa.
That's what the film would be called.
Right under the burqa.
Right there, under the burqa. But the funny thing about Hollywood at the moment is that they are gun happy in titles. The Gunman, another film.
American Sniper.
I mean, Resurrection. It's just odd that they can't leave the guns alone. It's like a child being told to stop playing with it. It'll fall off.
That literally happened to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I played with it too much. It just fell off. got gangrenous and fell off.
I'm not ending there. No,
No.
we're not ending there. But I'm okay. I'm happy with your Michael Bay film. I'm happy with the films that we've looked at. I'm very disappointed that the paranormal investigation group that was supposed to be joining us tonight on this thing never turned up. Apparently
We're in America,
they
and we're British, so they'll turn up at the end.
Ding dong.
Yeah. One thing,
Okay,
just to end on, how long have we been going for?
1 hour and 19 seconds, but that's
good for us. The remake of Amityville Horror, because obviously we have Amityville, we've had Amityville 2 The Possession, Amityville 3, Amityville 4 Dollhouse was a dollhouse of the Amityville house.
Which is
I've seen them all, and they're all workable ghost spooky films.
They just do it, and it's like whatever.
Let's find out if let's bring this full circle. Did Michael Bay's production company do the remake of Amityville Horror?
Let's put the two things together. Produced by Michael Bay.
Look
Andrew
at that.
Thorne Fuller.
Right, there we go, ladies and gentlemen.
I can't believe we actually had a legitimate reason to mention
Michael Bay. There you go, ladies and gentlemen.
produced the
He
remake.
produced a remake of the Amityville Horror, which didn't need doing, and is a very bad film.
So there we go.
It's not good at all. It's all in your face, nothing subtle about it, just like Michael Bay is.
I mean, look at the poster. I mean, he looks like a tiny man, and the house is staggeringly huge, and he seems to be standing in between a pair of legs. Michael Bay. No, you're not ending. You're not ending on the words Michael Bay.
So, well, yeah, we've gone full circle for once.
We've
There
gone
we
full
go. And I think we actually made a poignant point of view there.
Very touching.
Yeah, I'm welling up.
Let's get out of Amityville. There's nothing here for us.
So, if you want to contact us, you can email us on framebyframe78@gmail.com.
You can go to the website at www.roastedportions.com.
Yeah. Interested about www. It's easy to say World Wide Web than it is to say www.
Or triple W.
Triple
W. It's like, that's 3 George Bushes.
But yeah, that's some of the world soul he doesn't need.
So, keep it spooky, people.
We've got, what's our SoundCloud? Frame by Frame 2.
Yes.
Someone else on SoundCloud has Frame by Frame. Not bad.
Yeah, Frame by Frame 2.
Yeah.
So we have the sequel.
Yes, Facebook is...
Frame by Frame 78.
Of course it is. Frame by Frame 78.
Because the other 77 were there before us. I love it. I love it. That's like Airport 77. But yeah, enjoy our other podcasts. The last one we did before this one was comedy.
Yeah, UK stand-up comedy.
And next week will be the comedy of America.
Yeah.
I think, and,
or unless we think of something else we want to talk about, we'll talk about that.
You never know. Okay, so please enjoy everything that we do. And if by the way, if you are on the Facebook page, we do say more things about film. There is also the blog,
WordPress Frame by Frame, is it?
That's the one. And well done for remembering. And there will be occasional extras on there. Should we forget to say anything?
Yeah, and there's a Frame by Frame YouTube page which I might do a few things with.
Yes, yeah, we'll hopefully be stepping up our production value.
Yeah, well, I just think it might be nice to just use that for just little weird videos that we might do, and then use the roasted portions for the more gritty, all the proper frame by frame stuff.
Yes, and as we're talking about possession horror films today, I'd like to kind of plug our own film.
Yeah.
CAC03.
CAC03,
which is the chemical compound for chalk. Chalkface. That is also on the YouTube channel, or you can actually find that at roastedportions.com as well.
Yep.
Andy acts in it.
I do.
And I fumble around in the dark without any eyes, with a mask on in it. And
Stephen directed it.
It's a serviceable.
And I edited it. And it's very well edited. You'll be impressed with that.
Yeah,
it's very well directed. Well done. Well done you.
Well done you. And it's a short film, so it won't last too long.
We've been trying to get it into some festivals, but people have said it's not quick enough. It doesn't. Where's the boobs and the Michael Bay stuff? Because it's a slow burner.
Yeah,
and that's kind of the point of it. So I'd really like feedback on it, please.
Yeah, we would love some feedback, and if you think it needs improving, or
it's 24 minutes long, so it won't take it's shorter than this podcast.
Yeah.
And one person who I took it to a festival with said to me, "Can you get it down to 4 minutes?"
4 minutes.
4 minutes. I'm like, well, yeah, I'll do a trailer.
Plus
fine.
I can. Yeah. Right.
Anyway, signing off.
Thank you very much for listening.
Bye.
Shall I stop it there?